Shalom, Shalom, Israel. It's the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Let me make sure that we are up and running on Facebook and YouTube. Let me make sure. Alright, Most High in Christ. Give me one moment here. Of course, if y'all have any questions on topic, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and top those in. You know what I'm saying, we're going to get it in. We're going to watch a couple videos. And then also we're going to go into scriptures of today's topic. Just give me one moment here. Just want to make sure that we all tawab on all the platforms. And then we're going to get it rocking and rolling. Like I said, if you got any questions on topic, go ahead and top those in. If they are off topic, you understand, I'll make sure that our camp leader or the men above me be able to get those answered if I'm not able to answer them. All right. Alright, so like I said, let me just make sure one more time that I'm able to see the class and everything. Make sure I share it. One moment. Alright. Alright, Most High in Christ, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna get right into it. We're actually gonna open up with a video pertaining to the topic, and this one is you know what I'm saying, titled does smoking marijuana causes strokes and heart attacks? You know what I'm saying? So we're just gonna watch this video real quick, and you know what I'm saying, we're gonna get it in. Let me know if y'all can hear everything online as well too.
Does the so-called dark side of cannabis
include? Let me know if y'all can hear this on Facebook and
associated
YouTube.
with non-synthetic marijuana, by which I assume they mean marijuana. There have been case reports of artery damage due to the vasoconstrictor effect of cannabis, something that's been well documented. One study found cannabis users had 100 times.
You understand? And I just want to pause right there just to give a little backdrop, you know what I'm saying, of what we're going to go in today. Of course, you know what I'm saying, we're talking about marijuana, you know what I'm saying, how it affects the body and how it's against the Most High according to the scriptures, you know what I'm saying. And the reason why I'm pulling out this article is because, of course, here in the I.S.U.P.K, we understand that, you know, marijuana is bad for you and what it causes, you know, and what it does to the human brain and the body. But of course, you understand, we sit in the classes, you understand, and you know, we express the danger that it has when dealing with the scriptures. But of course, you understand, you know, in the world and in white society and in the world that we're living in right now, a lot of people, you understand, and when I say people, I mean Black Spanking Native Indians, they really don't want to hear a black man's perspective when it's coming to the Bible and when it comes to as far as the effects of marijuana. That's why I'm pulling out, you know, this article right here, because this is our oppressor speaking right here. And a lot of people, they like to listen to, you know, CNN or, you know, Fox News and you know these articles, and of course this is a well-known article, and they're gonna break it down as far as you know how it causes what is it, strokes and heart attacks. And then of course, you understand, we're gonna get into the scriptures like I said earlier. Like I said, if y'all do have any questions, please type those in, and we'll be able to get to those accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Once again, you know what I'm saying, this is the I.S.U.P.K. I'm Commander Jimmy YAHANNA.
there's greater odds of suffering from something called multifocal intracranial stenosis, where the arteries inside your brain clamp down at multiple points. But that's a rare condition. What about strokes? The lack of high-level evidence regarding the adverse effects of marijuana usage on brain artery health has led to this notion that recreational marijuana...
And let me just stop right there. I'm gonna try to let it play all the way through. You know what I'm saying? But of course, I want I'm gonna pose a question. You know what I'm saying, in the chat. You know what I'm saying, for the ones that struggle with smoking weed, or any type of any type of herb, or cigarette, or whatever the case may be, whatever you were dealing with. You understand? I want you to type in the chat. You know what I'm saying? We want a little bit more class participation. You know what I'm saying, when we're talking about this topic, as far as what was the effects that you received when you were smoking marijuana. You know what I'm saying? Or you are smoking marijuana, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? I want to see that in the chat, as far as what was the issues when you were smoking marijuana, or if you're battling it now. You know what I'm saying? What are some of the effects that you are having as of right now? You know what I'm saying? Or in the past when you were smoking marijuana. So I'm like I said, I'm gonna be looking back and forth on the chats, and one second, I'm gonna get this one up as well too, so I can multitask both of these, and then also teach the class and make sure everything's to WAB. All right. So like I said, you know what I'm saying, I want y'all to you know what I'm saying, type in the effects that y'all had when you were smoking weed, or are smoking weed, or anybody that you knew that actually smoked weed, or any type of what they call it, recreational drug. You understand? I want to know, you understand, like as far as the effects that you had. You understand? Because of course this is going to go into a couple of the effects, and I have another video as well too that I'm gonna look up, and we're gonna break down as well too. You know what I'm saying? Because of course here in the I.S.U.P.K, you know what I'm saying, we want to cure brothers and sisters from their weed smoking, or whatever type of recreational drug that they do take. You know what I'm saying? So of course we've been warning you of them, but of course now, you know what I'm saying, we definitely want to show you articles that our oppressor has made. You know what I'm saying? From well-known articles and artifacts, and giving you pretty much the breakdown of what it does to the brain and to the human body. Like I said earlier, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna go into the scriptures of how it is against the Most High, and how much of a danger you are in if you know that weed smoking is bad for you, but you continue to do it. You understand? So like I said, let's see, this one only 6 minutes. I'm gonna try my best to let it all play through, but of course, like I said before, if y'all do have any questions, any comments, you know what I'm saying, just make sure that you type those in, so we'll be able to get to those accordingly.
Marijuana may not be a problem, so they decided to put it to the test. You want high-level evidence? They said, well, how about a study of literally millions of pot smokers? Okay, then. And they found that recreational marijuana use did seem to be associated with an increased risk of being hospitalized with an acute ischemic stroke. But this may just be among those who smoke regularly, at least once a week. The reason we think it's cause and effect is that the majority of recorded strokes were during or shortly after marijuana exposure. And there were even cases in which strokes recurred after marijuana re-exposure. So
you understand, like what he's saying is, of course, you understand how marijuana affects the body. You understand, when it goes into, of course, everybody, I know, like everybody say, you know what I'm saying, when they smoking, marijuana or their recreational drug of choice, whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying, it's always like they are chasing that first high, you understand, and like they always trying to taste, you know what I'm saying, like what that feeling was like, you know what I'm saying, when they first started smoking. And that's why, of course, they they lace the drugs, or they up it up, and I didn't know until recently that they had like different grades of marijuana as well too, and those of course can be more potent, and some or less potent, whatever the case may be. But of course, you understand, like you just said, of course, a lot of people, you understand, they like they have strokes and not even knowing it. You understand, like they have strokes to the point where it's like, okay, I had a stroke, I felt like I had a stroke, or whatever case may be, but of course it like just like he said, after time goes and you continue to smoke marijuana, what happens? You have more strokes. You understand? Let me see here. The young man Marcus said the effects is trying to get rid of stress or to take my mind off stuff or just from being bored. What got me started was trying to fit in with everyone else or to help with meditation. You understand? And you can thank the Christian church for that, man. You understand? Because Christianity teaches you that what, man? That it is so okay and it's so great. You understand that that it's okay to be a part of this. A part of like a certain lifestyle or a certain part of group just to fit in. You know what I'm saying? Or just to feel like everything's gonna be great. You understand? You understand? So of course, we here in the I.S.U.P.K, we understand. We let you know that of course that of course smoking marijuana and any other type of recreational drug. Yeah, Kanye. Let me step my swag up just a little bit. You understand? Hold on, y'all should like it. Step my swag up just a little bit. Nothing much. You understand? So like I said, we're gonna continue to get into it, but of course, man, like the young man Marcus, he brought off some some informational, as far as I believe maybe this was his situation or maybe someone he know. I'm not for certain. It's kind of worded in a way where it could have been you or it could have been someone that whatever the case may be. But of course, this is some beneficial information. He said that the effects is trying to get rid of stress or to take my mind off stuff or just from being bored. What got me started? Okay, what got me started? Okay, so I'm guessing he referring to himself was trying to fit in with everyone else or help with meditation. You understand? Like I said earlier, as far as like how a person when they smoke weed, and this is just from from mine. Let me get that what is it no, matter of fact, yeah, let me get some of this. Yeah, that right there. Just it's some cups in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? You probably gotta wait till Kaz get out. What is it? So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody trying to chase that first high, you know what I'm saying? And for me personally, you know what I'm saying, and this is just me personally, you know what I'm saying, like a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, like they can be around drugs or anything in that nature, you understand, like they can be around all of that and not, you know what I'm saying, be able to partake in it. And I was just, gratefully enough to, try it a couple times and just knew that it wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying? But for me, you know what I'm saying, my first high was that, my first Passover when I tried that lamb. You understand? And I've been trying to find that, that first taste of that lamb, you know what I'm saying? Because that lamb is like, it was almost like a drug, you know what I'm saying? Like you kept chasing it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, like, okay, like, man, like who recipe is this? You understand? Like, man, good night. And the lamb was so good, it was like, I just try to chase that first, like that first taste, you know what I'm saying, like the bitter herbs, you know what I'm saying, the onions, and just how tender, you understand, that lamb was, you understand, and that was my first high, you understand, when it comes to, as far as, you understand, with the truth, you understand, trying to chase that first, you understand, trying to chase that first lamb tasting, you understand. But like I said, if y'all got any more comments, questions, please type them in. You understand? We're going to get into it. Like I said, I got a couple articles today, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, we're going to go into a few scriptures to show you, understand, the danger that you are in if you are partaking any recreational drugs.
Put all that together, it makes a convincing case, though you really have to, like, randomize people to smoke pot or placebo pot, to be sure. It's like the heart disease story. A similar temporal relationship has been found between marijuana use and the development of heart attacks and sudden cardiac death.
Hold up.
Heart attack.
It said cardiac death, man. You understand? That's very, very serious, man. You know what I'm saying? And of course, if you didn't know that marijuana was like against the Most High, hey, because if you don't mind, you can just just slide that to the like slide it towards the refrigerator and then sit on the other side. No, like the whole screen. Yeah, just just like I had it before, and then you can sit right there, or I show y'all can sit. Whichever one y'all want to sit right there, you know what I'm saying, y'all can mandate that, but let's just try to have it like that, so, just in case we got people in here, you know what I'm saying, they won't be, you know what I'm saying, be looking at, you know what I'm saying, the information, which nothing wrong with it, nothing like that, but, we just want to make sure that we're doing it too wild, right? So, of course, it talks about, matter of fact, let me just slide this back some, just a little, oh, shoot, that's way too much. Slide it back about right here.
Strokes were during or shortly after marijuana exposure. And there were even cases in which strokes recurred after marijuana re-exposure. So put all that together and it makes a convincing case, though you really have to randomize people to smoke pot or placebo pot to be sure. It's like the heart disease story. A similar temporal relationship has been found between marijuana use and the development of heart attacks and sudden cardiac death, meaning the heart attacks seemed to happen while they were using or right afterwards.
Whoa. It says while they were using or shortly right after. You know what I'm saying? And this, this is, like I said, this is a well-known, artifact, you know what I'm saying, well-known YouTube, guy that actually studies marijuana and what it does to the human body. You know what I'm saying? And this is just talking about strokes and heart attacks. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go to another video where it talks about what it does to the brain. You know what I'm saying? And how it just, disfigurates the whole brain and the whole process of being able to, concentrate or, being able to, being able to just think. You understand? So we're going to get into that. Like I said, y'all have to, y'all have to bear with me. You know what I'm saying? Like once a heavy point is being, brought out in this video, I like to stop it, you know what I'm saying, because it's some very, this is very, very informational, you know what I'm saying, and of course in I.S.U.P.K, we love, Black spanking Native Indians, and we do not want them to drop dead because of smoking marijuana, because, you know what I'm saying, they felt like it was the right thing to do right then and there, or, they was just trying to fit in, or, they was just trying to, seem like they're cool, you know what I'm saying, like, like the cool guy, or whatever the case may be. All right.
However, this is complicated by the fact that cannabis is often used in combination with other drugs, such as alcohol or cocaine. So you can't just ask heart attack victims if they were smoking pot at the time and make the connection without asking about other substance use. Within an hour of snorting cocaine, for example, the risk of having a heart attack goes up more than 20-fold. That's about 5 times more than after smoking pot. The hour after you smoke marijuana, your heart attack risk does appear to nearly quintuple, but only for that hour. Then your risk drops down to normal. Okay, but what does that mean? Even though heart disease is our #1 killer, the risk of having a heart attack every hour is only 1 in a million in any particular hour. So even if you then light up a joint, that may quintuple your risk, but that would only bump it to 1 in 150,000 risk in that hour. But it's just for that 1 hour. So even if you smoke every day, your annual risk might just go up a few percent. But why the increased risk at all? Well, we've known since the 70s that when...
And right now, what he's about to, go into, and I'm going to let him speak on it. You understand? Of course, he, showed you how the percentage is just so short, but how, how important it is to know exactly what you're putting, your life at risk as, you understand? You got to think about it, you understand? You have family members, you understand? You have loved ones that actually truly love you understand? Whether they, of course, in the world, and of course, here in the I.S.U.P.K, you understand? We love our brothers and sisters, and we do not want them to die, smoking a joint, We don't want them to die for, having any type of recreational drug, whether it's inhaling it, putting it in your, putting it in your veins or anything in that nature, because we truly care and give a damn about Black spanking Native Indians. In the Christian church, they do not. You know what I'm saying? The Muslim mosques do not. You know what I'm saying? Most Muslims, you know what I'm saying, they will, encourage you to, partake in drugs or, good night. You know what I'm saying? They the biggest drug, well, so they one of the second biggest drug dealers on the earth, man. Right. You understand? And that's something that we do not want to partake in. And that's something that, of course, we are here, you understand, as far as a safe haven if you did need to, pull anybody to the side, or, talk to somebody about that issue or about that habit, and how to control that habit, and how to, prevent this from happening again, so you won't have to, continually, try to chase that first high. You know what I'm saying? Continue to try to try to chase that first taste of smoking marijuana. You know what I'm saying? You want to get out of that habit.
In an hour of smoking a joint, pulse rate goes up about 35%. Smoking a single joint increases blood pressure too, as well as carbon monoxide levels in the blood of angina patients, and cuts their ability to exercise nearly in half.
That's very, very, heavy. I don't want to say heavy that he brought that out, but that's very, very, beneficial, because if a lot of people that smoke marijuana, and we're talking about marijuana specifically, they're not able to do what? Work out. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not able to run a couple miles without doing what? Bending over, or they're not able to do push-ups, or do crunches, or do something, you know what I'm saying, that that deals with some type of exercise without getting tired. Right. You know what I'm saying, or without having to take a breath, or without what, you know what I'm saying, for the ones that smoke cigarettes, you know what I'm saying, and I don't mean to laugh, you know what I'm saying, but like I would see people, you know what I'm saying, like they would work out and they would take a smoke break and then go back to working out. Same thing with smoking marijuana as well too, you know what I'm saying, like growing up in the hood, you know what I'm saying, Peoria, Illinois, you know what I'm saying, a lot of, like Illinois is well known for basketball, you know what I'm saying, and like I knew, you know what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, like they would smoke weed, you understand, go back on the court, take a little break, fire up a joint, and then get right back to it, to the point where, you understand, and like I said, he's going to get into it as far as how, you know what I'm saying, like they will get, very, very tired in a quick span, you understand, or like they're not able to focus within a quick span. All right, so it's only a couple more minutes of this. Let's go ahead and rock it out.
Is that just because of breathing smoke? Any kind of smoke? No. Smoking a placebo joint, a joint with marijuana from which the THC has been removed, only cuts down exercise capacity like 9%, compared to cutting the time they could exercise before the chest pain started by 48% with the cannabis. So it does seem to be a specific drug effect. Now, whether that's as bad as tobacco, we'd never know until a year later. Smoking a marijuana cigarette decreased the exercise time until angina more than smoking a tobacco cigarette, which only cut exercise capacity 23% compared to 50% after the joint.
There it is. You know what I'm saying? He's going into the very, very specifics of how, smoking weed is, worse, of course, when it comes to working out and trying to do some type of exercise versus smoking a cigarette. Now, I know, Israel, we like those, the Black and Miles, and I'm pretty sure, those are a little bit, I want to say, like, I'm not certain, like how the grades is. I'm pretty sure, like, it's probably like one grade under marijuana, and it's like a step up from the actual cigarettes, all right?
This may be because marijuana puts more demand on the heart, so no surprise then it was worse than tobacco.
Right, so of course it's saying that it's worse than tobacco. Now, of course, you understand, if you're and of course, we're not saying that, if of course your doctor prescribe it or anything in that nature, of course you will want to make sure that you get counsel on it, because I know it's a lot of not necessarily in the school that I've heard of, whatever the case may be, but I know it's a lot of people in the world, they will try to finesse the system, will say, oh yeah, my doctor gave me this, or if they get pulled over and they can give the doctors a slip and say, oh yeah, like the doctor gave me this, and I'm Tawab now, you understand, and meanwhile, they selling the Pookie on the block, and start Keisha around the corner, you understand, and that's something that of course you will always want to get counsel on, contact, your nearest camp leader, And of course, you understand, you can, get advice from, the priests and prophets in the I.S.U.P.K undocumented journey, YAHANNA.
Right.
May also be the carbon monoxide. Smoking marijuana leads to nearly 5 times more carbon monoxide in your bloodstream than smoking tobacco. This is because pot smokers inhale deeper and then hold the smoke in, allowing more carbon monoxide into your system.
All right, let's stop right there. You know what I'm saying? And of course, look up carbon monoxide on the on that laptop or on that computer, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Because we're gonna show you exactly what carbon monoxide is and why they say, of course, you know what I'm saying? Like I know, when a lot of people, smoke marijuana, they try to hold it in, because I'm guessing that gives you I'm not certain, a better high, you understand, or like it gives you a better feeling, you understand, when you are, when you do hold it a little bit longer. But it's saying, that the risks are higher, you understand, when the carbon monoxide. And of course, if you don't know carbon monoxide, we're about to get into it. If you don't mind, read that, Akaz.
God. This is the definition of carbon monoxide. CO is an odorless, colorless gas formed by the incomplete combustion of fuels.
It says it's a gas.
Right.
You understand? So, and I know like a lot of people, like they joke or whatnot, but I think it's like a term where it's like, oh yeah, I'm about to go smoke some gas.
Right.
And that's literal, you know what I'm saying? Because according to carbon monoxide, you know what I'm saying, it is a gas.
Right.
You understand? So, realistically, you are smoking gas, you understand? And of course, you understand, we're trying to warn you and, tell you that, of course, smoking gas is wrong. You understand? Like, how, like your kids, you know what I'm saying, they, pick up something that they're not supposed to pick up at the store, and they try to, put it in your buggy, you know what I'm saying, so you can purchase it.
Right.
It's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? Put that down. You know what I'm saying? Put that marijuana down, put that weed down, put, whatever recreational drug that you are smoking or partaking in down, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not good for your body.
Right.
And we're going to get into it. Just is it any more on that definition? All right, go ahead.
When people are exposed to CO gas, carbon monoxide, the CO molecules will displace the oxygen in their bodies and lead to poisoning.
Whoa, hold on, wait. Say that one more time.
Okay. When people are exposed to carbon monoxide gas, the carbon monoxide molecules will displace the oxygen in their bodies and lead to poisoning.
This is going to lead to poison. So, of course, a lot of people like to joke, say, oh, yeah, I'm going to go get this gas. But in reality, in all total actuality, you're poisoning yourself, man.
Right.
You understand? Of course, by poisoning yourself, what happens? You get heart attacks, you get strokes, about what we're going on right now. And like I said, later we're going to go into how it affects the brain.
Right.
You understand? So, of course, you understand, you truly want to make sure that you are doing this the most righteous way possible. You know what I'm saying? And if you do have to partake in it, of course, I would advise to definitely contact your camp leader and get counsel on that situation, man. You understand?
Between that and the cardio acceleration, the increased heart rate and pressure, that could account for the accelerated chest pain in heart disease patients. Does it have any chronic effects on our arteries?
Wait a minute. Now we're about to get into the chronic effects, man. Everybody talk about what it caused. That chronic,
right.
You know what I'm saying? That chronicles. And it's so crazy, you understand, because the terminology that Israel uses, it's real terminology. You understand?
Right.
And it's getting broken down to the point where it's like, man, okay, we're using these terms, but it's like we don't know what we're really saying, or we don't know how we're really operating. You know what I'm saying? We don't know exactly what we're doing to our own bodies. And this is what we're pulling out today, man. You know what I'm saying? And this is what we, of course, have been doing since 1969, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we care about us, man. You know what I'm saying? We care about blacks making independence, and we care about their cognitive thinking. You know what I'm saying? And we care about, you know what I'm saying, like their heart. You know what I'm saying? And their, in their neuro. You understand? We care about all those things, man. You know what I'm saying? And we don't, you know what I'm saying, want to give up on them. But of course, what, man? You know what I'm saying? We can't say, hey, man, stop smoking the weed, stop smoking the weed, stop smoking the weed, to the point, it comes to the point, it's like, okay, well, that person now is going to listen, And then, man, good night. You know what I'm saying? The Lord may not be with you on that last joint, you know what I'm saying? Or that joint that you smoked last night. You know what I'm saying? Or the joint that you got rolled up right now here in class. Or the joint that you have that you're going to smoke after class. Or the joint that you're going to smoke, you know what I'm saying, when you get stressed out again instead of calling for counsel. You understand? These are the things that's going to lead up to it. You know what I'm saying? And we're warning you by telling you exactly what our oppressor is telling you. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to believe us. You know what I'm saying? When we tell you that weed is bad, and we show you in the Bible, and we show you these, you know, and we you know it explain it to a point where you know a fourth grader can understand it. So we're telling you by the oppressor out of his own mouth, telling you that it's bad and it's a bad thing and what it does to your body. All right.
Users do seem to have relatively stiffer arteries for their age, suggesting an acceleration of the aging process, and we are only as old as our arteries. Even secondhand.
And let me stop right there. I believe that's young man Mark says. So basically, you're smoking poison, that which is a drug. It's not basically. You are smoking you are poisoning yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what the definition said about CO2.
Right.
You understand? We should be 12 up here. If you don't mind to just relight those, we should be 12. Yeah, those should be like, you know, like for the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I said, you know, these what's that? Yeah, kind of, you know, like, of course, you know what I'm saying, we just gonna do the Frank and Merc, you know what I'm saying? If y'all want to use that for your personal use, y'all can, or in the bathroom. But you know, otherwise, you know what I'm saying, for class purposes, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna burn those codes and keep the traditions of the man that came before us, you know what I'm saying? We you know what I'm saying, with that Frank and Merc. Yeah, so you know, man, Marcus, of course, you know what I'm saying, smoking weed is a poison. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you know, basically, or trying to like beat around the bush. It is a poison. You know what I'm saying? Do you still got that definition up, Makai? The CO2. All right, go ahead and read that again for the brother.
It's the definition of carbon monoxide. It's an odorless, colorless gas formed by incomplete combustion of fuels. When people are exposed to carbon monoxide gas, the CO molecules will displace the oxygen in their bodies and lead to poisoning.
There it is, you know what I'm saying? And that is the definition of, what was it? Carbon monoxide, what is it on the periodic table with a CO2?
Okay.
You understand? And that's what it is, man. That's exactly what it is. It's not no, you know, maybe or, you know, possibly. That's exactly what it is. All right, we got like a minute left. I kind of want to back up just a little bit. Just so, oh man, I think I'm backing up too much. Just so we can have this embedded in our mindset, and I might let us get this done, and then I might replay it again and just let it replay, in a sense, so it can be embedded all in our mindsets of how important it is to understand this information. You know what I'm saying? How important it is to not smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? To not smoke cigarettes, not smoke Black and Milds, and not do all these other recreational drugs, you know what I'm saying, popping mollies and doing all these abominable things, man. Right. All right.
Specific drug effect. Now, whether that's as bad as tobacco, we'd never know until a year later. Smoking a marijuana cigarette decreased the exercise time until angina more than smoking a tobacco cigarette, which only cut exercise capacity 23% compared to 50% after the joint. This may be because marijuana puts more demand on the heart, so no surprise then it was worse than tobacco. It may also be the carbon monoxide. Smoking marijuana leads to nearly 5 times more carbon monoxide in your bloodstream than smoking tobacco. This is because pot smokers inhale deeper and then hold the smoke in, allowing more carbon monoxide into your system.
Right.
So between that and the cardio acceleration, the increased heart rate and pressure, that could account for the accelerated chest pain and heart disease pain.
Gotcha. So right there, you know what I'm saying, of course it talks about the chest pain. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, that whether it's, you know, smoking marijuana or whatever, you know, drug that you do smoke, you know what I'm saying, they always complain about having chest pains, or, you know, like they always have an issue, you know, like with their heart, you know what I'm saying, or like, you know, not being able to breathe properly through their lungs.
Right.
And this is exactly what he's talking about right here.
Patients. Does it have any chronic effects on our arteries? Cannabis users do seem to have relatively stiffer arteries for their age, suggesting an acceleration of the aging process, and we are only as old as our arteries. Even secondhand marijuana smoke may be harmful, according to this recent study in the Journal of the American Heart Association entitled 1 minute of marijuana secondhand smoke impairs vascular endothelial function, meaning artery function. And so there was a call to protect vulnerable populations, including the elderly, disabled, and residents of multi-unit housing, pregnant women, and children. Even just 1 minute of exposure to marijuana secondhand smoke in rats. So it's not clear how
I'm gonna back that up just a little bit so we can hear that again.
the aging process, and we are only as old as our arteries. Even secondhand marijuana smoke may be harmful, according to this recent study in the Journal of the American Heart Association entitled.
Now, of course, like a lot of people, you understand, they say that they don't smoke weed, but they're around it. You know what I'm saying? And he's about to get into that secondhand smoking as far as the effects that it has on just being around it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe, the young man Marcus, I don't know, I'll probably have to read the comment again, but of course, this is for people that, that want to fit in, but don't smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? The people that actually want to be around, like the cool crowd, or, trying to fit in, but you're not partaking in it. But it's like, at the same point, you understand, it has some effects as well too. And, he's about to, tell you exactly what it does.
1 minute of marijuana secondhand smoke impairs vascular endothelial function, meaning artery function. And so there was a call to protect vulnerable populations, including the elderly, disabled, and residents of multi-unit housing, pregnant women, and children. Even just 1 minute of exposure to marijuana secondhand smoke in rats.
Right.
So it's not clear how applicable this is outside of perhaps not smoking around your pet.
Hey man, and like I said, man, y'all hearing it from our oppressor mouth. You understand? We've been telling you since 1969 that that this is the worst thing. You understand? So you understand? It's very, very clear that it's that it's very, very bad for you. You understand? And that even by secondhand smoke, that is a horrible thing as well too. You understand? And of course, you understand, we can laugh and joke, you understand, about it, but this is something that has been taking Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians' lives for over 400 years, man. You understand? You understand? Even like before the crap epidemic, you understand, marijuana, you understand, was very well. Let me see, what was that? The crack epidemic was what, in the 80s. So what about like the hippies? Was that like in the 70s, 60s? You understand? So of course, you understand, this marijuana has been killing far more Israel, you understand, than like even before the crack epidemic. You understand? So of course, you understand, I mean, good night. You understand? Just like the scripture says, and I said we won't get into the scripture now. But let's go ahead and pull Zephaniah 2:1. You understand? Just so we can know how important it is for us to understand how so we can come together in hippie land, and we can come together to be cool, and we can come together to have a great time, or have a barbecue or anything in that nature, but we're gonna see what the scripture says, as far as us coming together as a whole and as a nation, and why it's so imperative. This is probably one of my favorite scriptures, man. And I try not to pull it every class, but it's but it's almost like a dead giveaway. When Officer Mark Doggett teaches class, he's going to go to Zephaniah 2:1. Why? Because this is just so important. Like I said earlier, we can come together for all these different type of events. Concerts, and go on trips. You see people going on trips to Dubai, and to the DR. And go on these cruises to do what, man? To try to fit in, or try to try to be a part of the crowd, or try to be the crowd. you know what I'm saying, and try to be the center of the crowd, you know what I'm saying. Of course, you know when that happens, what happens, man. You know what I'm saying? Some type of drug is gonna be involved, you know what I'm saying? Some type of, sexual immorality is gonna go on,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, and all these abominable things that's totally against the Most High, you know what I'm saying? But of course the Most High wants you to do what? Go ahead, Akaz.
Okay. Zephaniah 2:1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
You understand? Because we are that nation that's not desired, man. You know what I'm saying? We do not understand how important this scripture is, man. You understand? When it comes to Black, Latinos, and Native Indians. You understand how important it is to put down that crack pipe. You understand? Put down that marijuana. You understand? Put down, popping the pills. You understand? I don't know what type of pills they got now. Ecstasy, Oxycontin, and good night. It's just a list of them. You know what I'm saying? And it's destroying the Most High's chosen people, man, right before our eyes. But of course, the Most High is saying something totally different, something that is totally unheard of. He wants us to come together. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, like you do when you have the smoke outs, and how you do, you know what I'm saying, when you have the crack parties, and how you do when you have the popping pill parties. You want that same thing to happen, you know what I'm saying, when we come together, man. You know what I'm saying? We truly enjoy ourselves, you know what I'm saying, by feasting on good cookout food, and good brotherhood and good sisterhood, man.
Right.
You understand? That's what the Most High wants, man. You understand? Damn what America wants, man. You understand? Damn what white supremacy wants for you. You know what I'm saying? It's time is now, you know what I'm saying? Because good night. Look what's happening right in the midst of us, man. You know what I'm saying? They're not telling you these COVID numbers for a reason, man. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to brainwash you, you know what I'm saying, to the point where you don't even think about it anymore, man. It's almost like it's not even in existence anymore. You understand? But of course, we're here to tell you, man, that COVID is still in the works. You understand? You know why? Because these are the plagues. You know what I'm saying? That is coming on Babylon the Great. You know what I'm saying? And of course, Babylon the Great is going to truly fall. You know what I'm saying? When World War III comes, and best believe it is here, man. You know what I'm saying? World War III is truly here, man, right before your eyes, and you're not worried about it. Why? Because you're worried about trying to fit in. Right. You're trying to cope, or try to have a coping mechanism because you're stressed out, or you want to be a part of the cool crowd. You understand? Or you just don't want to, have some type of anxiety attack. No, man. Pick up that damn phone. You know what I'm saying? Pick up that phone. You know what I'm saying? Pick up that phone and call your nearest camp leader near you, man.
Right.
You understand? So you can truly understand the importance of it, of why you shouldn't be doing these abominable things.
Wow.
Read that scripture one more time, then we'll get back to this article.
Come on. Zephaniah 2:1. Gather yourselves together. Yeah, gather together, O nation not desired.
You understand? All right. We gonna, like I said, we watched it once. You understand? Now what I'm doing is I'm just gonna play it through, and you understand. I want you to, you understand, try to be locked in. You understand, as far as what is truly being said. You understand, and if you know somebody, you understand, make sure that you share this video. You understand, a person that is, that you quote on, that you find that may find this useful, or you may find this, something that they need to hear. You understand? Let them know about this, about this class. You understand, about the I.S.U.P.K, and how we care about Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians' lives to the point where, you understand, we are willing to put our lives at risk. You understand? And this is for the ones I don't know if I had said it earlier, and saying this is nutritionalfacts.org. You know what I'm saying? And of course, if you go on nutritionalfacts.org, you know what I'm saying, you will find, you know what I'm saying, different type of remedies, you know what I'm saying, that will be able to wean you off the marijuana, you know what I'm saying, or be able to wean you off any type of drug, you know what I'm saying, that you may be dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Go to nutritionalfacts.org. You understand? And of course, you understand, they will be able to assist you and give you some advice, you understand, on, the best thing to do when it comes to having a recreational drug. And like I said, we're just going to, play this through. Like I said, I want us to, have this embedded in our mindsets, man, so we can understand the importance of why we shouldn't smoke marijuana.
Does the so-called dark side of cannabis include stroke? Here said to be associated with non-synthetic marijuana, by which I assume they mean marijuana. There have been case reports of artery damage due to the vasoconstrictor effect of cannabis, something that's been well documented. One study found cannabis users had 100 times greater odds of suffering from something called multifocal intracranial stenosis, where the arteries inside your brain clamp down at multiple points. But that's a rare condition. What about strokes? The lack of high-level evidence regarding the adverse effects of marijuana usage on brain artery health has led to this notion that recreational marijuana may not be a problem, so they decided to put it to the test. You want high-level evidence? They said, well, how about a study of literally millions of pot smokers? Okay, then. And they found that recreational marijuana use did seem to be associated with an increased risk of being hospitalized with an acute ischemic stroke. But this may just be among those who smoke regularly, at least once a week. The reason we think it's cause and effect is that the majority of recorded strokes were during or shortly after marijuana exposure. And there are even cases in which strokes recurred after marijuana re-exposure. So, put all that together and it makes a convincing case, though you really have to randomize people to smoke pot or placebo pot to be sure. It's like the heart disease story. A similar temporal relationship has been found between marijuana use and the development of heart attacks and sudden cardiac death, meaning the heart attacks seem to happen while they were using or right afterwards. However, this is complicated by the fact that cannabis is often used in combination with other drugs, such as alcohol or cocaine. So you can't just ask heart attack victims if they were smoking pot at the time and make the connection without asking about other substance use. Within an hour of snorting cocaine, for example, the risk of having a heart attack goes up more than 20-fold. That's about 5 times more than after smoking pot. The hour after you smoke marijuana, your heart attack risk does appear to nearly quintuple, but only for that hour. Then your risk drops down to normal. Okay, but what does that mean? Even though heart disease is our #1 killer, the risk of having a heart attack every hour is only 1 in a million in any particular hour. So even if you then light up a joint, that may quintuple your risk, but that would only bump it to 1 in 150,000 risk in that hour. But it's just for that 1 hour. So even if you smoke every day, your annual risk might just go up a few percent. But why the increased risk at all? Well, we've known since the 70s that within an hour of smoking a joint, pulse rate goes up about 35%. Smoking a single joint increases blood pressure too, as well as carbon monoxide levels in the blood of angina patients, and cuts their ability to exercise nearly in half. Now, was that just because of breathing smoke? Any kind of smoke? No. Smoking a placebo joint, a joint with marijuana from which the THC has been removed, only cuts down exercise capacity 9%, compared to cutting the time they could exercise before the chest pain started by 48% with the cannabis. So it does seem to be a specific drug effect. Now, whether that's as bad as tobacco, we'd never know until a year later. Smoking a marijuana cigarette decreased the exercise time until angina more than smoking a tobacco cigarette, which only cut exercise capacity 23% compared to 50% after the joint. This may be because marijuana puts more demand on the heart, so no surprise then it was worse than tobacco. It may also be the carbon monoxide. Smoking marijuana leads to nearly 5 times more carbon monoxide in your bloodstream than smoking tobacco. This is because pot smokers inhale deeper and then hold the smoke in, allowing more carbon monoxide into your system. So between that and the cardio acceleration, the increased heart rate and pressure, that could account for the accelerated chest pain in heart disease patients. Does it have any chronic effects on our arteries? Cannabis users do seem to have relatively stiffer arteries for their age, suggesting an acceleration of the aging process, and we are only as old as our arteries. Even secondhand marijuana smoke may be harmful, according to this recent study in the Journal of the American Heart Association entitled 1 Minute of Marijuana Secondhand Smoke Impairs Vascular Endothelial Function, meaning artery function. And so there was a call to protect vulnerable populations, including the elderly, disabled, and residents of multi-unit housing, pregnant women, and children. Even just 1 minute of exposure to marijuana secondhand smoke in rats. So it's not clear how applicable this is outside of perhaps not smoking around your pets.
Most high in Christ, you know what I'm saying? What I'm going to do now is, we talked about how it causes, you know what I'm saying, strokes in with the actual heart. 1 second here. Clear, was it? Hey, sorry, y'all, you can type in, cause there's like a little glare right here. Is marijuana good for the brain? I just got like a little bad little glare over here. I can't see it. Is marijuana bad for your brain? That's the one.
How it spells? Let me see.
MARIJUANA. Search it now to see if it populates. I'll let you know. That's the first one right there. Let me see that. No, that right there.
In 1970.
Alright, so now what we're about to do is, of course, you know, we went over how it, of course, how it's, can be, bad for your heart and causes strokes, and of course, lead to death, even to the point where, even if you do smoke, secondhand, you understand, it's, you still have some type of risk, you understand. Now, of course, we're about to go into the brain, and like I said, lastly, we're going to get a couple of scriptures, to show you, you understand how harmful it can be if you do decide to, partake in this particular drug, or of course, any other type of drug for that matter.
70, marijuana was classified as a Schedule I drug in the United States, the strictest designation possible, meaning it was completely illegal and had no recognized medical uses. For decades, this view persisted and set back research on the drug's mechanisms and effects. Today, marijuana's therapeutic benefits are widely acknowledged, and some nations have legalized medical use or are moving in that direction. But a growing recognition for marijuana's medical value doesn't answer the question, is recreational marijuana use bad for your brain? Marijuana acts on the body's cannabinoid system, which has receptors all over the brain and body. Molecules native to the body, called endocannabinoids, also act on these receptors. We don't totally understand the cannabinoid system, but it has one feature that provides a big clue to its function. Most neurotransmitters travel from one neuron to the next through a synapse to propagate a message. But endocannabinoids travel in the opposite direction. When a message passes from the one neuron to the next, the receiving neuron releases endocannabinoids. Those endocannabinoids travel backward to influence the sending neuron, essentially giving it feedback from the receiving neuron. This leads scientists to believe that the endocannabinoid system serves primarily to modulate other kinds of signals, amplifying some and diminishing others. Feedback from endocannabinoids slows down rates of neural signaling. That doesn't necessarily mean it slows down behavior or perception, though. For example, slowing down a signal that inhibits smell could actually make smells more intense.
Got you. So like a lot of people, you understand, when they get high, what happens? They get the munchies, right? You understand? It's all dealing with the brain. You understand? It's like, y'all, like your brain is being targeted to believe you understand that you're hungry, when all actuality, you understand, is just that plant. You understand? It all triggers back to that plant of a how, you understand, it's very harmful. You understand? Now of course you gotta think about it in a sense like this. You smoke marijuana. You understand what happened? You get the munchies. Guess what? You try to work out. What happens? Your heart. You understand? Your heart stops, or like you having bad heart problems now. You understand? But it's all triggered by what? By that plant. You understand? That plant is to the point where it's like it's almost mind controlling. You understand? Like it's trying to like construct your mind to think that what? That is, oh man, like it's like this is something that's cool, but in all actuality, in all reality, what happens, man? You have very, very heart failure. You understand? Now it's to the point where you kind of in a mindset of thinking that, oh man, I'm very hungry, and then you understand, of course, you get overweight, or and not even like a lot of people, sometimes they don't even get overweight. When they smoke marijuana, but all that pressure on the heart, it gets to the point where it's like, man, okay, I can't move like I want to. You know what I'm saying? Because your lungs is all jammed up, and just very, very congested, to the point where you're not able to do the things that you're normally able to do off the drugs. You understand?
Marijuana contains two main active compounds, tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, and cannabidiol, or CBD. THC is thought to be primarily responsible for marijuana's psychoactive effects on behavior, cognition, and perception, while CBD...
See, now, once again, let me back that up one more time, just a little bit, so we can break that down.
For example, slowing down a signal that inhibits smell could actually make smells more intense. Marijuana contains two main active compounds, tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, and cannabidiol, or CBD. THC is thought to be primarily responsible for marijuana's psychoactive effects on behavior, cognition, and perception, while CBD...
Like, and this is for, the quote-unquote woke people. You understand? Like the people that be on YouTube, 9 out of 10 times they do what? They smoke marijuana, and now they, now they're able to perceive things, and now they're able to see all these great things and these quote unquote visions, and calling themselves gods, and calling themselves goddesses, and doing all these abominable things. But you're not realizing is that this coming from a plant. You about to say something, Mashai?
Oh, they third eye, sir.
Right, kind. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to talk about the third eye, and chakras and the kundalinis, and in the stones and the rocks, and staying up all night, and like I've been to a couple of sisters' houses where they have like their own prayer rug, where that's where they go, and they go in a corner and they pray to their chakras and the kundalinis, and they smoke marijuana, and now they're just some magical god. You know what I'm saying? To the point where, just like I said, your perception is off. You understand? Like you're perceiving things as it's not even happening. You know what I'm saying? Like you're in reality, but your mind is outside of reality. Right. You understand? You're in reality, but your mind is totally outside of reality, all by this one plant. You understand? And good night. You understand? We talked about like how they have the different grades of marijuana. Guess what? They have different grades of how you perceive things as well too. Right. You know what I'm saying? You have a nut, and then you have a complete nut. Mm-hmm. And you got everything in between. But right. Guess what? they all a nut, they all crazy, you know what I'm saying? You know, like, you know, what's the saying, you know, like a person is, oh man, like he just a nut job, you know what I'm saying? Like he just crazy, you know what I'm saying? And that's exactly how it does, you know what I'm saying? This is what marijuana does, and it affects the brain.
CBD is responsible for the non-psychoactive effects. Like endocannabinoids, THC slows down signaling by binding to cannabinoid receptors, but it binds to receptors all over this.
So it's man, like that's funny how they got the illustration of it as well too. You know what I'm saying? Because when they talk about the THC, like you ever been around somebody that's high and they just what's the word that they have for like they just stuck? You understand? It's like they just like literally stoned out to the point where like you can snap your fingers and it be 2 minutes later and then they respond like, hey, didn't you just snap your fingers?
Right.
This is exactly what this is talking about. You understand? This is all factual facts right here. You understand? And of course, once again, y'all don't want to believe us when we say it. You know what I'm saying? When the priests and prophets of the Lord say that, you know, that is wrong. So now we gotta take it a step up and let you know what the oppressor is saying by, you know, all, you know, like the same facts that we've been pulling. You know what I'm saying? We didn't did classes on this, but of course y'all don't want to believe us. So now, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna take it one step up and say, you understand, exactly what the the oppressor is saying, exactly what we've been saying since 1969.
Sprawling, diffuse system at once, whereas endocannabinoids are released in a specific place in response to a specific stimulus. This widespread activity, coupled with the fact that the cannabinoid system indirectly affects many other systems, means that each person's particular brain chemistry, genetics, and previous life experience largely determine how they experience the drug. That's true.
Hold up, man. I'm gonna have to rewind that part one more time, like, because that was crazy.
But it binds to receptors all over this sprawling, diffuse system at once, whereas endocannabinoids are released in a specific place in response to a specific stimulus. This widespread activity, coupled with the fact that the cannabinoid system indirectly affects many other systems, means that each person's particular brain chemistry, genetics, and previous life experience largely determine how they experience the drug. That's true much more so with marijuana than with other drugs that produce their effects through one or a few specific pathways. So the harmful effects, if any, vary considerably from person to person. And while we don't know exactly how marijuana
And like okay, like, you know, that was, you know, a point as well too. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we said, you understand, like, like I said earlier, as far as, you know, like how they have prescription marijuana. You know what I'm saying? Like they just said like it, like it's different for each person. Because there's a lot of people that don't, like they're not supposed to smoke marijuana. But what happened? They choose to smoke marijuana and then they go into this, other type of, loophole and they in a sunken place versus a person that has been, prescribed to marijuana and they're doing it the right way, according to their doctor or, from counsel or whatever the case may be, you understand, or you should like just counsel, you understand. Of course, if in a school, you understand, you definitely want to, get counsel, you understand, before you take that step. But just imagine someone in the world, you understand, that actually needs it, you understand, because from my studying and from my understanding, you understand, sometimes you understand, weed, you understand, naturally is supposed to be drank as like an actual tea, you understand, versus smoked, you understand. But of course, Israel, you understand how we get down, you understand, we got to remix everything, you understand. But of course, I mean, just like with like a lot of teas, you understand, they're stress relievers. You understand, they calm you down, you understand. Some make you sleepy, you understand, some give you energy. It's the same thing if you are subscribe to this to this plant, you understand. But of course nowadays, you understand, it's just from my understanding, it's just wise advice to just ask your doctor for something else. You know what I'm saying? Don't go in there and say, oh man, also my doctor said that I can have cannabis, but I have to have a doctor's note. No, I'm not. I'm definitely not saying that. You know what I'm saying? Well, what I am saying is, and this is just, some advice ask your doctor for an alternative. You know what I'm saying? Get counsel on it. You know what I'm saying? I can only give you the, you know, the advice that, you know, from my standing, from my understanding. You understand? Let's keep going.
Produces specific harmful effects, there are clear risk factors that can increase people's likelihood of experiencing them. The clearest risk factor is age. In people younger than 25, cannabinoid receptors are more concentrated in the white matter than in people over 25. The white matter is involved in communication, learning, memory, and emotions. Frequent marijuana use can
Emotional damage. You understand? And that's, you know, that's what it's boiled down to. You know what I'm saying? Of course, in the school, you know what I'm saying, I.S.U.P.K, we talking about not being emotional. You know what I'm saying? We talk about that all the time. You know what I'm saying? No cowards, no excuses, and do not show any form of emotion. You understand? Because what does emotion lead to? You know what I'm saying? Showing your true character. You know what I'm saying? Showing that you're weak. You know what I'm saying? Showing that you have no discipline. You understand? Because when it comes to as far as fighting, you know what I'm saying, whatever addiction that you do have, you have to have some type of discipline to be able to fight that. You know what I'm saying? I know brothers and sisters all throughout the school, you know what I'm saying, fought so many, you know what I'm saying, obstacles and, you know, stumbling blocks that they were able to overcome and never look back. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, like, it reminds me of Lot's wife. You understand? When she looked back at her past, like, what happened? She got turned into a pillar of salt. You understand? When she looked back, like, oh man, I just need that one more high. You know, so I need to get high one more time, and then everything's gonna be all right. You know, what I'm saying? But what happens? You know, what I'm saying, if the Lord is not with you, that one more time, you know, what I'm saying, you're gonna be what? You're gonna be a pillar of dust. You understand? You understand? You're gonna be a pillar of dust to the point where it's like, man, I wanted to just smoke this one more blunt. I just wanted to just do this one last time, and I know it's bad for me, and I know it's wrong, but I just want to just do it one more time, just so, you know, just to get that feeling, you know what I'm saying, get that, you know, let me get outside of this place, you know what I'm saying, let me go, you know, I'm in the box, let me think outside the box now, you know what I'm saying, let me go into another loophole, you know what I'm saying, let me go into another, another dimension, and let me, start speaking, you know what I'm saying, words that I don't even know what they mean. You understand? Let me make a YouTube channel and gain a following. You understand? Let me get on Facebook and show everybody, you know what I'm saying, that I'm smoking and drinking, and that I don't know how to control myself because I don't have discipline.
Right.
You understand? Those are the causes, you know what I'm saying, the effects that marijuana has been plaguing Black, Hispanic, and Indians, you know what I'm saying, since the 60s and 70s, man. And it's still happening right here. But we in 2022, right?
Right.
You understand? In the midst of a World War III, right before your eyes, literally, you looking at it. You know what I'm saying? You are truly looking at Christ returning, and you still want to just smoke that one last blunt. You understand? You still want to go get secondhand smoke. You know what I'm saying? We had already went over the effects that have as well, too. You understand? We want to make sure that we are taking this thing very seriously.
Disrupt the development of white matter tracts and also affect the brain's ability to grow new connections. This may damage long-term learning ability and problem solving. For now, it's unclear how severe this damage can be.
Problem solving, that's another thing, you know what I'm saying? That's another thing. And like I say, you know what I'm saying, like I'm gonna stop the video now, you know what I'm saying, for the ones that, that need to just, like listen to it to the point where, like, with no interruption, I'm gonna, play the video on through. So only a couple more minutes of this, I'm gonna, finish, like as far as breaking it down, and then I'm gonna rewind it and then just let it play through, and then we're gonna go to the scriptures, you understand? But it says something very, very, very important, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to problem solving. You understand? When it comes to problem solving and a person that's on marijuana and their own drugs, what happens, man? They get to the point where they're just outside of their own brain, that they can't, forget that the stove is on and they're cooking noodles. You know what I'm saying? That, like, they forget that, that the baby needs to be changed. You know what I'm saying? Or they forget to take a shower. You understand? Because I've been around a lot of people that smoke weed, You understand? And they be like, man, like, okay, good night. Like, did you forget to shower for 3 days? Or you know what I mean, like, what's going on? You understand? Like, come on now, you know what I'm saying? But their problem solving is just so off to the point where it's like, I don't need to think anymore. I'm going to let the plant think for me. You understand? I'm going to let the plant think for me to the point where it's like, I don't want to take a shower today. I don't want to, I don't want to get counsel on this. I don't want to get counsel on that. You understand? I don't want to do anything, that's going to be beneficial to me. You understand? I don't want to get, treatment for, marijuana. I don't want to do that. You understand? I don't want to go apply for another job. You understand? I don't want to do that. You understand? I don't want to do these abominable things, man. You understand? I don't. You understand? Why? Because you're outside of your brain, man. You understand? You're thinking outside of your brain, man. And that's not healthy, man. You understand? We're going to continue to...
Or whether it's reversible. And even among young people, the risk is higher the younger someone is. Much higher for a 15-year-old than a 22-year-old, for instance. Marijuana can also cause hallucinations or paranoid delusions, known as...
My goodness. Hold on, wait. Let's see what it's known as.
Marijuana-induced psychosis.
Wait a minute, let's rewind that back just a little bit.
In people younger than 25, cannabinoid receptors are more concentrated in the white matter than in people over 25. The white matter is involved in communication, learning, memory, and emotions. Frequent marijuana use can disrupt the development of white matter tracts and also affect the brain's ability to grow new connections. This may damage long-term learning ability and problem solving. For now, it's unclear how severe this damage can be or whether it's reversible. And even among young people, the risk is higher the younger someone is. Much higher for a 15-year-old than a 22-year-old, for instance. Marijuana can also cause hallucinations or paranoid delusions, known as marijuana-induced psychosis. These symptoms usually subside when a person stops using marijuana, but in rare cases...
Yikes. So, you know how people say, I'm addicted to marijuana, and, they have what they call, like the withdrawals. You understand? And this is, and from my understanding, really, it's like that with every, recreational drug, of choice. You know what I'm saying? Once you get off, you go through these withdrawals, and you start shaking, you start having the shakes, and you start, not feeling like yourself. You understand? All because of you're addicted to this plant, you're addicted to, whatever the case may be. You understand? What is it? You understand? But it's, it's all, you understand, dealing with, you understand, as far as, like the article was saying, it's all dealing with, how the mind operates. You understand? It takes a very, very strong-willed person, you understand, man or woman, you understand, to be able to fight that addiction of marijuana, man. You understand? But of course, you understand, there's other avenues and, ways to help you fight those addictions, man. You understand?
Psychosis doesn't subside. Instead,
and I would say one of those is putting work in the I.S.U.P.K on the managing YAHANNA.
Right.
in a persistent psychotic disorder. A family history of psychotic disorders, like schizophrenia, is the clearest, though not the only, risk factor for this effect. Marijuana-induced psychosis is also more common among young adults, though it's worth noting that psychotic disorders usually surface in this age range anyway. What's unclear in these cases is whether the psychotic disorder would have appeared without marijuana use, whether marijuana use triggers it early, is a catalyst for a tipping point that wouldn't have been crossed otherwise, or whether the reaction to marijuana is merely an indication of an underlying disorder. In all likelihood, marijuana's role varies from person to person. At any age, as with many other drugs, the brain and body become less sensitive to marijuana after repeated uses, meaning it takes more to achieve the same effects.
Yikes.
Fortunately, unlike many...
Now, of course, you know what I'm saying, like how people, how like a person have a tolerance for drugs, it comes to a point where, you know, like that person, and it's so crazy, you know what I'm saying, that we are, you know, talking about this, you know what I'm saying, because it's like, you know, you know what I'm saying, when you think about tolerance levels, you understand, it's like when you're being able to, you know, tolerate certain things, you know what I'm saying, it should be a point, you know what I'm saying, where you're being able to, you know, tolerate as far as learning the law, statutes, and commandments, you understand? Right. You should be, you know, have some type of tolerance of being able to just, you know, shut your mouth and, you know, and not say anything, and understand the importance of being quiet, you know what I'm saying? The importance of showing some discipline, you know what I'm saying? But of course, it says once you keep on smoking weed, that tolerance level goes what? It goes up. Keep on going up to the point where it's like you're smoking weed every single hour of the day. You understand? You're rolling up. You understand? You have one in rotation. They're rolling up. You understand? They have that rotation over and over and over again to the point where what happens, man? It's like, man, you look up. You've been smoking for 10 hours straight. You understand?
Right.
And, you know, with no water, you understand, no shower, you understand, no none of that. But what happens? You get some food, and what happens after that? You keep on smoking over and over and over and over again to the point where what happens, man? Your tolerance, your tolerance for weed goes up to what? Something more higher, you know what I'm saying? Like I talk about like the different grades of marijuana. Right. And like they mix them and they do all of these, you know, crazy things to them where they, you know, it's to the point where it's, you know, like they got different colors now of marijuana. And that's the, I'm guessing now, you know, something like, you know, like that's the grade of it. So I know back then, you know what I'm saying, like I smoked weed a couple times. It wasn't for me, but I know back then it was just a regular weed. You understand? Now they have, you know, I don't know, perp, or, you know, I don't even know, you know, Dro, you understand, Reggie, and all these different type of names, you understand. Cars know the names of them, you understand. But you know, like they just got these different type of names of them in that form, and it's to the point where like, man, like that tolerance level is just getting to a point where it's like, man, like that tolerance level could be used for something so monumental. Right. That can change Black and Hispanic Native lives for the rest of eternity, man. Right. You understand? All by doing what, man? Opening up this Bible right here, man. Right. Opening up this Bible and realizing that, man, this is your Constitution right here. You understand? This is your true Constitution, and it's only for you. You understand? This right here should be the tolerance level for everybody. You should want to know more and more and more of this Bible instead of wanting more and more weed. Right. You understand? You should want to know, man, how can I become a better brother? You understand? How can I follow these laws, statutes, and commandments? You understand? Is there a law on brotherhood? Is there a law on sisterhood? You understand? Is there a law on what I can and can't smoke? Is there a law on, you know, what I can and can't eat? Right. You understand? Is there a law on, you know, whatever the case may be? You understand? What am I supposed to do to, you know, make it in this hellhole? You understand? What is the description of Christ? You understand? What is the description of the angels? You understand? What what does it truly say about the law? You understand? What does it say about these things? Your tolerance level should just keep on going up and up and up. You understand? Right. Just like they got different grades of weed. You understand? Your tolerance level for this Bible should just keep on going up and up and up to the point where it's like, oh, good night. You know what I'm saying? I'm up there now. You know what I'm saying? I'm up and I'm up and I'm up to the point where it's like, man, this is coming to be second nature versus you smoking weed for 10 to 15 hours a day. Right. You understand?
Any other drugs, there's no risk of fatal overdose from marijuana, and even heavy use doesn't lead to debilitating or life-threatening withdrawal symptoms if use stops. There are more subtle forms of marijuana withdrawal, though, including sleep disturbances, irritability, and depressed mood, which pass within a few weeks of stopping use. So, is marijuana...
You understand? Talks about, you know what I'm saying, you know, just like we said earlier, you know what I'm saying, once you stop smoking marijuana, man, what happens, you understand? You go through these withdrawals, you know what I'm saying, you go with, you know what I'm saying, like you go through all of these abominable things, you know what I'm saying, that you're having in your mindset. Right. think about it. What happens when you lose your zeal for this truth? You know what I'm saying? What happens when you lose that, that tolerance level of this Bible that's naturally yours? You know what I'm saying? That's all yours. You know what I'm saying? That's your constitution. What happens when you drop your sword, man? What's gonna happen? You understand? You're gonna go through a withdrawal of the brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna go a withdrawal without the sisterhood. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna go through, you know what I'm saying, the withdrawal of having someone to depend on you, having someone to watch over you. Those what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? We done seen it day in and day out, man. You know what I'm saying, of a brother or sister, you know what I'm saying, going through some things, whatever the case may be, and they just gradually, you know what I'm saying, they be up here, not even all the way up to the top, you understand, as far as, we talk about that tolerance level, you know what I'm saying, and they just, what happened, they just go all the way down, you understand, they may go back up a little bit, but they just always go back down, you understand, that tolerance level should be keep on going all the way up, all the way up, all the way up to the point where it's like, man,
Right.
this is your second nature, right? You know what I'm saying? This is what you live and die about, man.
Right.
And this is what Christ truly died for, you understand? It's for us to have that tolerance level of wanting to know more, wanting
Right.
to do all of these great abominable things, you understand? Think about it, man. You understand the mission of Acuna, you understand the Kentucky 8, you understand all these great things, you understand that Commander Jenny YAHANNA is doing in the I.S.U.P.K, man.
Right.
That's what your tolerance level should be like, man. You understand? And not having a tolerance level of just being stuck.
Bad for your brain, it depends who you are. But while some risk factors are easy to identify, others aren't well understood, which means there's still some possibility of experiencing negative effects, even if you don't have any of the known risk factors. The world's most widely used drug is caffeine. Over 100.
All right, so I'm gonna, like I said before, I'm gonna run it through. I'm just gonna let it play. You understand? And like I said earlier, you know what I'm saying, make sure that that you are focused and locked in. You know what I'm saying, to exactly what's being said. You know what I'm saying, because this can truly save your life. You understand? Literally.
In 1970, marijuana was classified as a Schedule I drug in the United States, the strictest designation possible, meaning it was completely illegal and had no recognized medical uses. For decades, this view persisted and set back research on the drug's mechanisms and effects. Today, marijuana's therapeutic benefits are widely acknowledged, and some nations have legalized medical use or are moving in that direction. But a growing recognition for marijuana's medical value doesn't answer the question, is recreational marijuana use bad for your brain? Marijuana acts on the body's cannabinoid system, which has receptors all over the brain and body. Molecules native to the body, called endocannabinoids, also act on these receptors. We don't totally understand the cannabinoid system, but it has one feature that provides a big clue to its function. Most neurotransmitters travel from one neuron to the next through a synapse to propagate a message. But endocannabinoids travel in the opposite direction. When a message passes from the one neuron to the next, the receiving neuron releases endocannabinoids. Those endocannabinoids travel backward to influence the sending neuron, essentially giving it feedback from the receiving neuron. This leads scientists to believe that the endocannabinoid system serves primarily to modulate other kinds of signals, amplifying some and diminishing others. Feedback from endocannabinoids slows down rates of neural signaling. That doesn't necessarily mean it slows down behavior or perception, though. For example, slowing down a signal that inhibits smell could actually make smells more intense. Marijuana contains two main active compounds, tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, and cannabidiol, or CBD. THC is thought to be primarily responsible for marijuana's psychoactive effects on behavior, cognition, and perception, while CBD is responsible for the non-psychoactive effects. Like endocannabinoids, THC slows down signaling by binding to cannabinoid receptors, but it binds to receptors all over this sprawling, diffuse system at once, whereas endocannabinoids are released in a specific place in response to a specific stimulus. This widespread activity, coupled with the fact that the cannabinoid system indirectly affects many other systems, means that each person's particular brain chemistry, genetics, and previous life experience largely determine how they experience the drug. That's true much more so with marijuana than with other drugs that produce their effects through one or a few specific pathways. So the harmful effects, if any, vary considerably from person to person. And while we don't know exactly how marijuana produces specific harmful effects, there are clear risk factors that can increase people's likelihood of experiencing them. The clearest risk factor is age. In people younger than 25, cannabinoid receptors are more concentrated in the white matter than in people over 25. The white matter is involved in communication, learning, memory, and emotions. Frequent marijuana use can disrupt the development of white matter tracts and also affect the brain's ability to grow new connections. This may damage long-term learning ability and problem solving. For now, it's unclear how severe this damage can be or whether it's reversible. And even among young people, the risk is higher the younger someone is, much higher for a 15-year-old than a 22-year-old, for instance. Marijuana can also cause hallucinations or paranoid delusions. Known as marijuana-induced psychosis, these symptoms usually subside when a person stops using marijuana. But in rare cases, psychosis doesn't subside, instead unmasking a persistent psychotic disorder. A family history of psychotic disorders, like schizophrenia, is the clearest, though not the only, risk factor for this effect. Marijuana-induced psychosis is also more common among young adults, though it's worth noting that psychotic disorders usually surface in this age range anyway. What's unclear in these cases is whether the psychotic disorder would have appeared without marijuana use, whether marijuana use triggers it early, is a catalyst for a tipping point that wouldn't have been crossed otherwise, or whether the reaction to marijuana is merely an indication of an underlying disorder. In all likelihood, marijuana's role varies from person to person. At any age, as with many other drugs, the brain and body become less sensitive to marijuana after repeated uses, meaning it takes more to achieve the same effects. Fortunately, unlike many other drugs, there's no risk of fatal overdose from marijuana, and even heavy use doesn't lead to debilitating or life-threatening withdrawal symptoms if use stops. There are more subtle forms of marijuana withdrawal, though, including sleep disturbances, irritability, and depressed mood, which pass within a few weeks of stopping use. So, is marijuana bad for your brain? It depends who you are. But while some risk factors are easy to identify, others aren't well understood, which means there's still some possibility of experiencing negative effects, even if you don't have any of the known risk factors. The world's most widely used drug
Alright.
is caffeine.
Alright, let's go ahead and let's get to these scriptures, man. Let me get Exodus chapter 20 and verse 3. For time's sake, I'm gonna have you look up 1 Corinthians 6 and 19. All right, and we have a Bible right here. We got a few scriptures we're gonna get in, then we're gonna go ahead and close it out. You know what I'm saying? Exodus 20 and 3, and then 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 19. Akaj, you can read first when you got your scripture.
Alright, come. This is Exodus 20, verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
You know what I'm saying? This is the law. You know what I'm saying? This is saying that thou shalt not have another God before me. You know what I'm saying? What, you know what I'm saying? This is a question. You know what I'm saying? What type of religion, promotes or, says it's okay, or like weed, or like almost gave it away. You understand? Smoking weed. Well, for time's sake, like I said, we don't got a lot of time. You understand? Those Shai was about to say something.
Rastafari Hindu.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like Hinduism, you know what I'm saying? And I was gonna say, like the people that, smoke the hookahs and all that.
Right.
You understand? Like the East Indian, you know what I'm saying? Like they're, like from time to time, they're well known as far as, smoking marijuana as well too. You know what I'm saying? So of course, when you are smoking weed, just know that you are putting on a new custom, a new lifestyle from a different type of religion and culture. You know what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, according to the Bible, man. You understand? Read from the top.
Carl Cut. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image.
Okay, you understand? So of course you understand. This is very, very self-explanatory, man. It's so self-explanatory to the point where it's like, if you don't understand, it's like, man, we're giving it to you like it's the ABCs, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the 1, 2, 3s. You understand? Making it so simple to the point. You understand where, a teenager can understand it. You understand? A young infant can understand it, man. You understand? But it's going to have to be a point in time in life where you, as far as yourself, you understand, or the person that they're going to have to just come up with another coping mechanism. You understand? Whether it's getting counsel, getting advice, or doing all of these great things as far as doing the work of the Lord. You understand? To be able to fight that wickedness and something that has downfall Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians for time after time, man. You understand? Go ahead and read that scripture, Shayala. Akaz, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8.
1 Corinthians 6:19. What ye know, what ye not, that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you.
You understand? Listen, man, your body is the temple of God, man. You understand? You don't want any wickedness dwelling within your body, man. You understand? You don't want any wickedness going on within your mindset. You understand? It talks about hallucinating and the ways that like the way that you perceive things. You don't want your mind to go there. You understand? You don't want you understand your neurology, you understand, to be imbalanced. You understand? You don't want these things, man. Why? Because of course, according to the Bible, you understand what the scripture says, an unbalanced man is unstable in all of his ways. You understand? You're not going to have no type of stability. You understand? You're not going to be able to, stand strong on what you truly believe in. You understand why? Because you're smoking too much. You understand? You're doing all of these other recreational drugs. You understand? That's destroying your life. Keep reading.
And ye are not your own.
And ye are not your own, man. Meaning what, man? Your body, you understand? Your body, which is of God, this is not of your own body. You know what I'm saying? Guess what, man? The Lord wants to truly use you. But of course, if you're doing it by doing all these abominable things, the Lord does not want to use you. You understand?
Right.
Point blank, period. And this is what the scripture says. Not me. You understand? This is what the scripture is saying. You understand? That your body, you understand, the body that you're destroying by the hands of a plant. You understand? You're gonna allow a plant to destroy your will and your purpose in God's kingdom.
Right.
And I.S.U.P.K on the command of Johanna. Come on now.
Right.
Like, what's truly going on in this place, man? You know what I'm saying? You gotta think about the brainwashing and of what white supremacy has done to us day in and day out, over and over and over again, to the point where we're going to believe in everything that they say, right, and not what the Most High says, man. Any more on that?
Verse 20.
Read from the top one more time.
1 Corinthians 6:19. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own?
You understand? Self-explanatory once again. Go ahead, Akaz.
Okay. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
You understand? And that's very, 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 very true, man. You understand? Because it's all about having that sober mindset, man. You understand? Think about it as, think about it as, think about it as, coming from a nutritional point of view. You understand? What happens if you eat too much meat? You understand? What happens if like you're low on, your fruits and vegetables? You understand? Or like you're only eating, fatty foods, or you're only eating starches. You understand? Or you're only eating, what is it? Soul food. You understand? A quote unquote soul food that's doing nothing but clogging your arteries, man. Guess what's happening, man, when you're smoking that weed, man? It's clogging your arteries. You understand? Not your physical arteries, you understand? The arteries that are used, you understand? Not necessarily, I don't want to say arteries, you understand? Like you're, like it's clogging your mindset to be able to do what the Most High wants you to do, and how He wants you to move, and how He wants you to maneuver. Right. You understand? All of that is being clogged up, man. By what? By a smoke cloud. You understand? Because of course you be in a what was it? What I referenced earlier, that smoke box, whether it's in a vehicle or whether it's like a nice not necessarily nice, but like a setting like this. And like I said, everybody just passing, passing marijuana around, and person rolling up, and person skipping, like messing up the rotation. You know what I'm saying? Because because like he's in another, perception, he messing up everything, and now, you gotta skip over him. You got another person, like he sees you passing him the marijuana, but he's just stuck. Right. So it's like all this stuff is going on, and it's like, man, what happens? You understand? Your perception is totally off, and you're not in reality. You understand? You're out of the reality, man. And it's to the point where it's like, man, like it has to be a point where you just have to just stop. You understand? Stop and realize of how important it is. Go ahead.
So like, sir, if I could, and that's ironic that you say that, because even coming up at a young age, 10, 11, 12 years old, I always used to hear the old elders say that, oh, that's a gateway drug. Mm-hmm. And that's through the time me going through, being a teenager and in my early 20s, I started realizing they go from a point to people smoking skimp blunts, 1 gram, 2 gram. Mm-hmm. Now they smoking 8 grams in the blunt. They gotta put lean in the blunt, and it's just a gateway, because they always chase their first high. Right. But when they can't get that first high, they go to other alternatives, like I said, lean and pills and XYZ.
That's wild right there. I was totally unaware of that. You understand? But that's it all makes sense, man. You know what I'm saying? It just all makes sense to the point where it's like, man, like, like how much, you understand? Like how much is Israel truly going to, going to have to go through, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to this gateway drug, man, that has been destroying us for time after time, over and over and over again, man. You understand? And we have to know and realize, man, that this body that you're destroying is not even your body. Right. You understand? The Lord cannot see fit in you if you're doing all these abominable things and not following the law, statutes, and commandments. Right. You understand? You're too busy eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. You understand? While you're smoking marijuana, while you're smoking the Black and Milds, while you're smoking cigarettes, popping Molly and Percocets, and all the other different strands of drugs, man. You understand? How can the Most High truly know? Truly use you. You understand? Right. Because your body is not yours, man. You understand? Now, of course, you understand. Don't get it mixed up. You understand? It does come to a point where, it is easier to talk to a drug addict. You understand? Than a Christian. You understand? Because at least that drug addict, they know that they're a drug addict, mm-hmm. and they know that they're messed up. But when it comes to Christianity, they don't know that they're messed up, and they don't want to understand, man. You understand? And Christianity is the gateway drug to hell, man.
Right.
You understand? Christianity is truly the gateway drug to hell, man. You understand? And they allow marijuana in the building. You understand? They allow you to smoke marijuana. You understand? They allow you to do all these abominable things over and over and over again, man. You understand? Who holding something right now?
Want me to read First Peter 5 again?
Khan, go ahead.
Okay. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
Mm-hmm. You understand? This is going to be the last scripture. Go ahead and go to Luke chapter 19 and verse 27, man. You understand? So we can get the importance and know why. You understand? Why, you understand, the Most High is warning you of this, man. And of course, if the Most High is warning you of this, YAHANNA himself is going to warn you of this, and we're about to read it right now in the New Testament. You understand? Of the dangers and the harm that it is doing to you, man. You know, so all because you you want to chase that first high, or you want to do something that just so quote unquote monumental, and you want to just do everything your way.
Right.
But let's see where your way is going to lead you. Go ahead,
Luke 19:7.
27.
It's like Luke 19:27. But those my enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me.
Good night, man. You know what I'm saying? Those ones that don't want to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. And is this coming out of Christ's own mouth? It's coming out of Christ's own mouth. You know what I'm saying? The ones that don't want to recognize him as king and the savior and and the prince over black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, man.
Right.
It says, do what to them again?
Bring hither and slay them before me.
Bring hither and slay them before me, man. Meaning what, man? You're wasting the Most High's time, man.
Right.
You understand? You're not giving it your all. You understand? It comes to a point where the rubber has to meet the road, and if you're not going to, mesh together, what's the point of the, you understand? What's the point of God? You understand? What's the point of Most High in Christ? Looking down upon you and seeing that you are worthy of this.
Right.
If you keep doing it over and over again, if you keep on smoking marijuana again, if you keep on going to the strip club again, if you keep on, doing all these abominable things over and over and over again, man. You understand? Keep on, what is it? Wasting your money, you understand, on marijuana when it can be used for something else, man. You understand? Wasting everyone else's money when it can be used and benefit for something else that is more powerful than that high, man. You understand? Something that is more powerful than that high can be used with that money that you did decide to smoke marijuana with, man.
Right.
You understand? So best believe that, you understand, we may not understand it, but of course, best believe God and YAHANNA understands it, man. You understand? They understand it. Go ahead.
This is a little slight note, and that's another thing. When COVID first started, everybody was getting stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was worried about tissue and every family all the way across the board. But what they was also doing was smoking their weed and eating up the food they should have been saving, just as in case it was no more food ever returned.
You understand? And look where we at now. There's no baby food. You understand? Baby food shortage, man. You understand? Of course, of course, you understand, when you're high and drunk, you understand, you get the munchies, what happens next? You understand? You want to have sex, you understand? Like you come together, you have a baby, now what? You understand? No, no baby food formula, you understand? And you don't want to breastfeed because you're doing what? Like you've been smoking and drinking while having that baby, man. You was about to say something else,
and you just hit it on the head. Mm-hmm. A lot of sisters and a lot of men don't approve of sisters smoking weed having a child, so they stop. But once they, birth the child, they back to smoking. That should show like it's an issue.
You understand? And it shows, you understand, how much they don't care about kids.
Right.
How much they don't care about their own children.
Right.
You understand? They would rather smoke weed than have, have some milk that is, from my understanding, more nutritional than what the powder formula is. Now, of course, a lot of sisters, they're not able to, you know what I'm saying, for whatever health reason may be, as far as being able to breastfeed, you know what I'm saying, so they do have to take the formula route. But of course, you understand, how would you know if you're not smoking weed?
Right.
You understand? If you're too busy smoking all the weed in the world, how you gonna know if that you may have some nutritional nourishments for that for that new baby, for that newborn baby? You can't, you know what I'm saying, because you're too busy smoking and going wine, and as soon as the baby drop, you dropping it off grandma's house so you can go to the club and do the same thing over and over again.
Right.
It's that residual cycle of confusion, man, over and over and over again, to the point where it's like, man, I just don't get it. You understand? I just don't understand why I gotta keep having babies. You know what I'm saying? Why I can't live my best life? Why I can't have a hot girl summer? You know what I'm saying? Why I can't wear what's some shorts that them boys wearing? Hoochie daddy shorts. How come I can't wear hoochie daddy shorts no more? You know what I'm saying? Come on now. We are in the midst of a World War III.
Right.
And you're worrying about marijuana? No sweat, you understand? The Lord is going to deal with you, man.
Right.
With that, I'm passing the class over Chris Nelson.
Get that wonderful priest and officer hands. Powerful Claire. I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, start out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Root for a brother and sister. When a brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limit for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which a brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithe, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means tenth in Hebrew, ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Up holy convocation. Memorial blowing the trumpets. First day of the 7th month, Sunday 25th of September 2022, Leviticus 23:24-5. Reminder to Akib and Akwaf to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone want to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. And with that,